Welcome back to Crack on the Field, the #1 sports broadcast. We're so excited to bring you our Super Bowl special. The big game is this Sunday, folks, and we are so excited to be talking sports.
Oh, yeah, we sure are. I'm your host, Joey Punts DeFilippis, here with my co-host,
Maddie No-Goes Ferrara, two formal NFL players that are here with you guys today to talk about the big game. Joe, right off the bat, good to see you first off.
Yeah, you too. You look great. You look great. How are the kids? The kids are good?
Good. Johnny actually just started playing flag for the first time.
Look at that.
8 years old already.
Look at that.
Could you believe it?
You know what they say? The first thing you got to put in their hands is a pigskin.
A foosball.
A foosball.
Foosball, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Joe, I mean, what an unprecedented season we've seen so far.
Oh, yeah.
The big names are out. There was a lot of upsets during the playoffs and whatnot. The NFC, the CFY, like all the different leagues and conferences.
The AFK, yep.
A lot of AFK.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Big time.
But the thing that you noticed right off the bat about this season, the big players, the big teams did not make it through. There was a lot of upsets. And we're seeing the first Super Bowl in a long time with two underdogs of all people, of all teams. Could you believe it?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm excited, man. I am excited.
Same here.
I am excited for this
Guys,
matchup.
this Super Bowl, we got the Napa Valley Grape Stompers coming out of California, a real underdog team, but a team that's really showed a lot of grit this season. And then another underdog team with some really fresh faces on it, the Ohio Akron Fishcaps. And we're really excited. Both teams have a cultured history, haven't been in the Super Bowl in a while.
No.
The Fishcaps haven't made it to the playoffs in 20 years. Could you believe that?
I can believe it, but you know what? I'm excited because the Fishcaps really came out this season playing just hard-nosed, smash-mouth football up and down the field.
And you know what? Everyone knows about Akron, Ohio. It's a town with a lot of grit, real salt-of-the-earth people, and they get some hell of a lot of ball players out of there that really show you what's good. You know, the thing is, people don't even realize the Fishcaps is a team that's named after the fish that in Akron, Ohio in 1937 was swimming along the river, and the old farm man saw that fish, and the fish popped his head out of the water, and he put a little cap on.
And he said,
good day. And he said, good day to you, sir.
Yep.
And that was the day the team was founded, and we're so excited to see this team. Who do you think is the standout for the Fishcaps this season?
Well,
Joe?
I mean, before anything, it's important you mention, the man, the myth, the legend, the man behind all of the madness, Wooly Mammoth. He, two-time winning Super Bowl head coach, played at Navy, graduated from Army. He's coming in hot this year with, a young team but a talented team, to say the least.
Willie Mammoth is a name that goes down in NFL history with a storied past. As you said, started his career at Army, ended it at Navy.
Other way around.
Willie Mammoth, first French-American coach to be in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
In the league, I should say. And this is unprecedented as well because he's been to the Bowl twice, but with two separate teams, and this will be his third team. That's a different team that he's brought to the Bowl.
Yeah, so he's on par to be winning, 3 Super Bowls, 3 different football clubs. It'll be good.
And the thing that's crazy about Willie Mammoth is you look at a guy who never really, other than his college career, French immigrant that came here in 1972 at the age of 17, worked in a shoe factory for several years, a walk-on to Army, a graduate of Navy.
And enlisted in the Korean War, too, mind you, only a year after moving here.
Which was insane.
Yeah.
And that was his only football experience, went straight to the NFL because a guy that he used to make shoes for, he would do the shoe thing, shine his shoes, spit shine.
Yeah.
Said, you know what? I like your eye for shining. I think, do you play football? And he was French at the time, so he said, Monsieur, I also play football, William Mammoth.
Yeah.
And he went to the league, and he started coaching. Didn't even play in the league.
No. Just college.
At age 37, which is unprecedentedly young, became the coach for the Carolina Rackspurts and just started a really beautiful and storied NFL career. And I'm excited to see what he brings to the Fishcaps. I'm excited to see how he propels them into their next level.
Yeah, and you know what, man? I'm excited to see, the young quarterbacks facing off, we have Chaz Woolsworth coming, for the Fishcaps, and then, of course...
One of the youngest quarterbacks be in the Super Bowl, Chaz Woolsworth.
And then his opponent, another one of the youngest quarterbacks in the league, Ernest Tanks McQueen.
Ernest Ernie Tanks McQueen.
Oh, yeah.
He's been in the league a little bit longer than Chaz, but I'll tell you what, those are two young men that are really coming to the bowl this year to prove themselves and say, hey, listen, they're young guys. They're probably, hey, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm not the little kid I'm a man. I play ball. Yeah, not, hey, look at me. I'm a ball player. They want to say, hey, I'm a man. I play football, and I'm here to stay. And I'm really excited to see what both of those guys bring to the game.
Absolutely. And you know what? I love seeing a guy like, Woolsworth, Chaz. Great quarterback.
Graduated college 2 years ago.
Yeah.
NFC champion.
Yeah, and not even that.
MVP.
He's a hell of a player on the field, but he's also a hell of a player off the field. He's a really charitable guy. He's the founder of Fuzzy Paws, his school for blind dogs.
An incredible charitable organization that Chaz Woolsworth started with his girlfriend.
And I love what he always says in the press junkets. They're like, where'd you get the name Fuzzy Paws? And he's like, it's not because their paws are fuzzy. It's because their vision is fuzzy. Yeah.
Because it's what
blind
they
dogs.
do. And I've actually visited one of the campuses out in Akron. Mm-hmm. And what they do actually is they take dogs that are blind, and they're just like, they can't see nothing, right? But what they do is they get them balls that are like also invisible. Like they're like, they have these things that propels air in a way that a ball would move through the air.
It's similar to Braille, yeah.
Yes, but it's like Braille for three-dimensional objects that are being thrown.
Yes.
So they could hear it. They could hear the ball being thrown, and they say, oh, and they'll go get it. But there is no ball, like a blind, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's like more about the sound that a ball makes when it's thrown.
Yeah, and he's a guy who stands for a cause. He did the same thing when they were trying to get the team to move to Catalina. Remember, they wanted to make the Catalina Grape Stompers. It was a whole controversy in the league. And he said, you know what? We started in Napa Valley, and we're going to win a championship in Napa Valley. Mark my words. And here we are 11 months later. They're going to try and bring the championship home to Napa Valley.
You're talking about Ernest Ernie Tanks now, the QB of
No,
the
I'm
Grape
talking about
Stompers.
Oh, yeah. Yes. not Woolsworth. I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah, listen, Ernie Tanks, he's another one, but he's a very different breed than Woolsworth. Ernie Tanks, he's about 27 now, a little bit older than Chaz, but Ernie
youthful.
Tanks.
He's youthful.
McQueen has got a storied past as well. He was a UCLA quarterback, played on the team, frat star party boy. Some people, the whole big scandal this year for Ernest Ernie Tanks McQueen is there's no documentation proving that Ernest Ernie Tanks McQueen was ever enrolled in a class at UCLA, despite being the varsity quarterback for 4 years.
Yep, and that's been a big thing because Coach Mamuth has been pressing the league to uncover whether or not Tanks actually attended UCLA,
He's been very vocal about it, and I think they did some sort of literary test this week, and they did discover that Ernie can't read.
Yeah.
He is illiterate.
Yeah.
But if you look at the bylaws of the NFL, there's nothing that says you have to be literate to play football. Right.
And, and they also uncovered in the investigation another big scandal. He did break the school record at UCLA for disorderly conduct charges.
I'll tell you what.
Can't say I'm surprised.
Have you ever been out with Ernest Ernie Tanks McQueen?
I haven't had the privilege.
I'll tell you what. That boy could put back some beers. You would not want to tell your wife out about it.
That's why I drink. That's why I drink the minis. I'm more of the mini guy.
The wife's got you on a diet.
Yeah, she does.
How is Belinda, by the way?
She's still a big old whore, but we love her.
And
I love you, honey. Jokes.
He's joking, but how's the whole thing with the down there?
Yeah,
the uterus still recoils like a vacuum.
Yeah,
like a plug of a vacuum.
We tried using a Weed Whacker 4.0. Didn't do much.
No luck with the kids.
No.
Hey, listen, buddy. There's always adoption. Moving on, guys. Let's talk about some other players that are really bringing the heat this year to the league. On the Akron Fishcaps, we got the down and dirty Devon Lundgren, wide receiver, bad boy, scandalous, but he's a fun guy. I'll tell you that much. Let's talk about Devon Lundgren's season.
Well, Devon Lundgren, hell of a season. He was putting up record yards. He stuck it.
Dude,
it to the Florida Flapjacks.
Unprecedented. Oh, the Florida. Forget about that.
What a game he played then.
What about the team? You remember when I played for the Fort Lauderdale?
What was it?
The Fort
Yeah.
Lauderdale Spit Swallows.
Yeah, the Spit Swallows.
Which was, of course, named after the local bird, the spit swallow.
Yes.
Did you see how the game went between the fish caps and the spit swallows? Lundgren ran through those boys like a turkey and cheese sandwich in a little boy's lunchbox.
Oh, yes.
I'll tell you what.
And you know what? He was having a hell of a season that did come to a pause in the middle of the year due to his scandal.
Of course,
you know?
there was some scandal this season with Devon Lundgren. There was some allegations that came out that Devon was a part of a network of people in the Ohio area, a gang, if you will.
Yep.
That was robbing vending machines?
Yeah, he was linked to a string of robberies on vending machines across the state of Ohio, apparently, connected to some sort of organized crime syndicate, the Sweet Splitters, as
That's
they're
what
called.
they were
That's the
calling
street
themselves.
name, yeah.
Odd
He
thing
denies all allegations, denies any,
The odd thing about these
association.
robberies in general, though, is there was no, they didn't break into the coin slots and take any money.
No.
They were just taking the snacks.
Just the snacks.
So, I think I read an article that the grand total of all the robberies committed was like $82. So, I mean,
Under $100, yeah.
Yeah, which is like, if that was Devon, shame on you, but
Yeah.
no harm, no foul. I don't know how many Butterfingers you could use. You got $1 million contract.
But then you think about the backfield. You think about, who's going to be running the ball, who's the one who's putting it down their throats every play, and you know who it is. It's Richie Bixson.
Richie Bixson has been such a huge part of the Akron Fishcaps. It's been what a beautiful season because he's getting older now, and this may or may not be his last season. We'll see what happens after the game. But there are retirement rumors, and we're really hoping it's not the case. But Richie is, how old is he now, 48?
48.
Richie
Still in the
Bixson,
league.
48, not to be accused with Tricky Dicky Nixon. He's Richie Bixson. An Ohio native, very reclusive, does not do much press, famously hasn't spoken to many people on his own team.
Yeah.
But he's a hell of a player, and he for a running back, he gets the ball where it needs to go.
Yeah, and he announced after this season he will be releasing a sequel to his first novel.
What another thing that's
When
crazy.
She Comes, I Go.
An unprecedented thing. He's also a novelist, folks. No
Yeah.
wonder why he's so reclusive. In his very brief time of off season, in between training and the season, he writes books.
Yep.
What was his first book called?
When She Comes, I Go.
Okay, and he's making a sequel to that.
Yes.
And what did you read the novel?
I have not read it. I've heard that it's being finished. I wouldn't want to call it post production. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm
what novel
talking
it's
about
called.
the first
Oh
one.
yeah.
Yeah,
When She Comes, I Go.
What was it like?
Great novel. Romance thriller. A young lady, meets a harrowing man. Just
a heroin man.
a heroin man.
A heroin.
Yeah, a harrowing man. And just, she meets a stud. She meets a stud, and it's about their love in Catalina for one summer.
Wow.
And it ends in a tragic murder. No
Jeez.
spoiler alert, but,
And if I'm not mistaken, they are adapting that to Netflix.
Yes, they are. So he's going to be making his way into the film world.
Addison Rae and Timothy Chalamet to star, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes.
just, listen, we'll get back to the game talk in a minute, but folks, I just want to say, I love me some Timothy Chalamet.
Oh.
The kid's got everything.
Yeah.
The looks, the grit, the talent, the street tough attitude. He, sexually androgynous. What's
yeah.
not to love? Have you heard about he's doing Willy Wonka before he shoots this?
He's going to be doing Willy Wonka, walking off set, getting on a plane, and going right to another one.
I
He doesn't
saw
stop
the
working.
trailer for Willy Wonka with Timothy Chalamet, and he was just like, chocolat. A chocolat.
Yeah.
That's how it went.
That's a hell of a performance, if you ask me, But, it's fun because, we got to speak to Coach Willie Mamuth earlier this week, and, we asked him, Coach, first of all, it's always been an issue. People are always, hitting you in the press. What do you have to say to those people? And he said, my name's not Mammoth, it's Mamuth. And he dropped the microphone right there in the locker room.
We actually have an audio clip from that that phone conversation you had with him. Do you want to play that now?
Yeah, we could
All
play
right,
that.
let's do that. Go ahead.
Coach Mamuth, how you doing? Joey Punts, DeFilippis here from Crack on the Field. Yes, how are you? Coach, we just wanted to call and catch up with you. The big game's coming up this week. There's a lot of speculation on, what the outcome's going to be. We'd love to just get, a few of your thoughts, 30 seconds or, at most. What do you think about the game coming up? How are you feeling? How's the team feeling?
Just one. It's going to be a good game. I love the football. It's very good
Yeah, and Coach, so now what are your going into this game? It's a big game for you. A back-to-back Super Bowl champion. You're coming now for your third year in the Super Bowl with a third team. What are the emotions like? Are you feeling a blowout game? Are you feeling like it's going to go down to the wire? Just some thoughts on that and the team.
Yes, football. Very good football. Pour les jeunes Uruguay, en français, et la chanson, et how you say in American, a football is good. It's good. It's good. It's going to good. It's going to be. It's going to be good.
It's going to be good. Coach Ed, so thank you for so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and best of luck on Sunday.
Oui.
Wow, that's a hell of a phone call right there, folks. I Willie Mamuth.
Willie Mamuth, guys, 2-time winning Super Bowl head coach. We're excited for him. But let's talk about the coach.
The rookie.
The rookie for the Napa Valley Grape Stompers. It's Philistine Carlisle. A very, very different story here.
Yeah. First year.
First year as a coach, but he's also in his late 80s.
Yeah.
Now, what you might know about Philly Carlisle, because he has a history out of the NFL, he's a former executive, and when we say executive, we mean head honcho at Texas Grease Oil Refinery. Just a big name, a titan of industry in the oil world.
Yeah.
Famously hand-drilled his own spouts on his property in the late 70s, which led to a discovery of a whole new pits of oil deposits in Texas, and the rest is history. Decided to play his hand at NFL. He raised his boys on football, obviously very known but tragic story. He had 10 sons that all played in the NFL, all of which who have tragically perished.
Yeah.
They're all passed.
Yeah, and he says it every game he steps on that field, it's for all 10 of his boys. So, I tip my hat to that,
after
man.
his 10th son died, he decided to make the leap to coaching. What do you think about Philly Carlisle this season?
I think a guy like that, he's putting it all on the line. He's going to leave it all on the field, and he's playing with nothing to lose. And you know what? When a man is backed into that type of corner, you don't know what'll happen.
And you know what? He's got something that Willie Mamuth does not.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
That's just pure anger and hatred for the world.
Yeah, he's got grit. He's got grit, man.
Have you spoken to him?
We got a chance to catch up with him last week at the press junket. We got, he didn't have much to say. You could tell he was really dialed in, tunnel vision, and we'll go ahead and play that audio clip for you guys now.
Great.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, I'm on the phone with Philistine Philly Carlisle, the coach and owner of the Napa Valley Grape Stompers. Great to talk to you, Coach. How are you?
Yeah, well, I'm doing better.
You're doing good. How are you these days?
Well, I'm like man of my stature. I read the Old Testament reading. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you think about, what happens in the life you're living, the way, well, the thunderbolts of the Lord come striking down on thee. And who to be the one to receive those bolts?
Coach,
But the Lord himself.
Yeah, we were looking to hear what you think about the predictions for the game. What do you think the team's looking like?
It ain't about no game, son. Ain't about no game. Well, it's about the Lord. Yep. Well, you think about, what do you talk about when you talk about the game?
Yeah.
And I just feel like, well, shoot, I'm going to go up on that field and be like, oh, I'm supposed to play now.
Great. And how's everything going with your new relationship with Stephanie Crawford?
Bell of the ball, man.
Yeah. Coach, let's close on this. What do you have? What kind of words do you have for your opponents over in Akron at the Fishcaps? What kind of stuff would you say to Willie Mamuth? How do you feel about the opposing team? Good relationship with them?
What I'd say to Willie Mamuth?
Yeah.
What I'd say to him? I'd say you better say your Hail Mary, son. Our Father, who
in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. So would you say like, and lead us not into temptation, yeah, well, but deliver us from evil. Amen. So you got like generally positive feelings towards the other team, coach? Yeah, something like that. All right, thanks, coach. Pleasure talking to you. Excited for the big game on Sunday. Thank you. At least I could do.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean,
that's an
certainly
inspirational
a
man.
different tone than Willie Mamuth, who is a little bit lighthearted. Phil Carlisle, he seems unhappy.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah, and how could you not be? So much tragedy in your life.
Yeah. Listen, the death of his 10 sons are still unexplained and incredibly mysterious. But folks, we're going to interrupt our show to bring you a message from our sponsors, but they're not just a sponsor. They're part of the Crackfield family. And that sponsor is Manscaped.
Yep.
Folks, me and Joe, we're longtime football players, big-time football guys, and there's only one thing we love more than the game. That's our wives.
Yep.
And after that big game on Sunday, we got another big day on Tuesday or Monday, and that's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to be on the sidelines for that game Sunday, but you bet your ass I'm going to be walking into my wife's arms with a clean sack on Monday or Tuesday, whenever Valentine's Day is.
Yeah, it's on Monday, yep. And that's important because you're going to walk off the field and you're going to walk into her arms with a clean sack. And how are you going to do it? You're going to do it with the Lawnmower 4.0.
The Lawnmower 4.0, folks.
Yep.
It's an incredible piece of technology that Manscaped has brought us.
Yep.
Ceramic blade that prevents all nicks and cuts.
Yep.
A 4K LED light that allows you to shave in those dark and hard-to-reach crevices of your body.
Yep.
You want to show people that you mean business in a game of life, in the game of sack.
Yep.
When it comes to football, I'm all about sacks, but also I'm about sacks in bed.
Yep.
And you better bet that I want my sack to be smooth.
Yeah, and so while you're at it, folks, go to manscaped.com and use code GOODCRACK for 20% off and free shipping. You can get that on any product. You can get it either on the 2-in-1, shampoo conditioner. You could use it on the Performance Package 4.0, any products, the lip balm. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping with code GOODCRACK.
Guys, the big game only comes once a year, but so does Valentine's Day. And for your significant other, just make sure you're a little hairless.
Yeah.
No one likes to be sucking on some pubes.
No.
No one likes, it's just not what you want.
No.
So for this Valentine's Day, we offer you a special offer. With code GOODCRACK at checkout at Manscaped, you can get 20% off and free shipping on any Manscaped product. Guys, that's GOODCRACK, GOODCRACK at checkout for 20% off and free shipping, guys.
Yep.
That's a Lawnmower 4.0, the Performance Package, the Weed Whacker, the fucking 2-in-1 hair and shampoo and conditioner, the body wash, everything, the lip balm, everything, the deodorant.
Yep. And you're going to get that using code GOODCRACK at manscaped.com.
Guys, the big game's big, but so is keeping your game down there clean and big.
Yeah. And if you shave, you look bigger.
You look bigger.
Just saying.
And add a little inches to you.
Yep. So go use that code GOODCRACK at manscaped.com.
And make sure you get that field goal with your cock. But, as a parent, I could tell you this much. You never want to bury your child.
Never.
And listen, this is someone coming from experience. This is for all the folks out there that don't have children. You never want to bury a child.
Never.
You never
do.
do.
The last thing you want. But on the bright side, it's well known throughout the league that he does treat his players like sons, like family, and and it shows. You got a quarterback like Ernie Tanks McQueen, former frat star, and just he slings the rock. He parties hard, but he plays hard.
Speaking of Ernie Tanks McQueen, star player, but we got to give it up to his backup, the team that also got him to this far, to the Super Bowl. Really, you got wide receiver Rasheed Calvin Sr. Very unprecedented to have the senior in your name.
Yeah,
but his son is named after him, Rasheed Calvin Jr., and he wants everyone to know. He wants to make it clear that he is the older one.
Yeah, and it's crazy when you look at Calvin's story. You have a guy that got drafted 3 years ago, in the first 10. He got drafted to the Grape Stompers. He had a promising career, and you saw his rookie season, a lot of, controversy, multiple DUIs while in the league, and then slowly but surely
drug scandals in college,
scandals.
selling marijuana.
But the big thing that, the one thing that had everyone on the end of their seats and, wondering if he would still be playing in the league is after investigations, they uncovered that he was the head of an organized squirrel fighting ring,
and
down
this
near
is
the
sad
Mexican
because
border.
this is something that happened while he was in college.
Yeah. Caught
and
up. He's a kid that was caught up.
In the scene, really. And
Yep.
there was all these graphic videos that PETA released where they would starve the squirrels and then tie little razor blades and those little skateboards. What were those called? Tech decks to their feet.
Yep.
And they'd kind of have them joust these squirrels, and it
Yeah.
was just a gruesome scene. But at the time when these allegations came out and these things came to light, Rasheed was only 22. And he did that when he was in college, probably 20 years old.
Right.
And, now you're looking at a guy that's 26. You see how much he changed. You see how serious he got when he got to the league.
Absolutely.
Following, or not really following, but in the same canon, Chaz Woolsworth started you've heard about this. This season, he partnered up with the famous Nuts for Nuts out of Manhattan, and he did the Nuts for Nuts Save a Squirrel initiative. And he donated a lot of his time and money to advertisements and charities that
Spending time with them, too.
spending time with squirrels, giving them all the nuts they desire, candied nuts, cashews, even the coconuts.
But what an important topic of discussion here, and this has had Stephen A. Smith on ESPN going wild. It's had people debating day in, day out. PETA has released many statements, disavowing what he's done. Is it the NFL's responsibility? Is it the coaches and the organization's responsibility to deal with such? Is it their responsibility to hold him accountable? You're looking at the Grape Stompers. Does their organization have any responsibility in doing something about this? And this has had people raising question, since the allegations came out.
Well, it's crazy because, look, you look at a team like the Napa Valley Grape Stompers, a small team, but a team that has come a long way, privately owned as opposed to a lot of these teams in the league, owned by winery owner Robert Mondavi, the owner of Mondavi Wines in Napa Valley. What does an 80-year-old Spaniard who owns a winery in Napa Valley, how is he going to reprimand and deal with a 22-year-old young man who came up, frankly, from a very different background? And, you got to hold them accountable, as they did. There was some suspensions.
Right.
There was some spanking, I heard.
Yeah, heavy fines, too, as well. He paid a lot of money in fines.
He's obviously trying to refine his image now.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to take away the art from the artist or give the art to the artist or separate them, but what a season. Hell of a season. You saw the game back a couple months ago, and he did that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where he was flipping and dipping,
yeah.
And he was just scoring touchdowns left and right. It damn near made me tear up.
So many touchdowns, they said, boy, we ought to start calling them home runs at this point.
I was at that game with the lead singer of Steely Dan.
Yeah.
He's a good pal of mine.
Yeah.
Name escapes me
Dan
right now.
Steely, yeah.
Yeah, Dan Steely. His name is Steely Dan. What am I saying?
Yeah.
And he said, when he watched, because he's a big Napa Valley Grape Stompers fan, he wanted to go in with Robert Mondavi as part owner, but Mondavi said no. But what ended up happening was I'm sitting there with Steely Dan, the lead singer of Dan Steely, and he said when he saw Rasheed score that first touchdown of that game, or the final one that won the game, he said, "I'm a fool to do your dirty work." And what that was such a metaphor for, listen, we all have troubled past, but it's about the present, and it's about what you're bringing to the field every Sunday, any given Sunday.
And you want to talk about troubled past, this team is full of them. We go to, to the backfield, running back, Billy Tops, hell of a
Billy
performer.
Tops.
Hell of a
Guys,
player.
I just want to put it out there right now. I'm not a gambling man. I am a drinking one. I've had some problems with that in the past, as you all know. Billy Tops is someone I'm going to put my money on for this Super Bowl. Whatever bets I can place on him, I will.
Yeah, and there's been lots to say about him. Been near the sites of multiple gruesome murders, and he was also accused of a triple homicide, according to an unreleased report from the Napa Valley PD.
And this one is very different because, as opposed to Rasheed and as opposed to all these other folks where there was verified evidence, there was videos.
Right.
You can't hate on Billy Tops just because he happened to be in the same state, in the same town in the Midwest when very specific, gruesome and grisly murders happened. I think it was something along the lines of there was incisions made down the neck and then across, and then like the neckline was whatever. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, it was an apple pie. They called
Yeah,
that.
they called
The
that an
Adam's
apple pie, and there was the apple pie killer. And Billy
Mm-hmm.
Tops happened to be in 7 of the places where these murders happened.
Right.
But there was no proof, there was no evidence about at all that he was really connected to these murders. He just happened to be in these obscure towns at the same time.
Right.
And the thing that on top of all this, Billy Tops, been in the league for 10 years now. You see every Sunday, great family, great wife and kids, loving father. The second he walks off that field, he's got his boys in his arms. He's kissing his wife on the lips. Like, he really loves her, and he really is passionate about being with her.
Yeah, and you got to say a lot about that, because when you're playing in a league at this caliber, you know, it's very easy to forget about your family. It's very easy to sit aside and worry about the millions. But, you know, Billy Tops, he shows up, he plays, and then right after he's going to join his family for Sunday dinner, you know, and that's a special guy.
Did you see the Hulu documentary on Billy Tops?
Yeah, I did. Top Shot.
Top Shot, Finding Billy Tops, the Billy Tops story.
Yep.
They dive into the murders a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of random evidence. I don't like to touch on that.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
But what I will say is just watching some of the archival footage from his college days, from his Pro Bowl days, just crazy running back stuff, man.
Yeah.
You know, he was running. He's certainly fast. He jumps super high.
They used to call him Juke 'em Nuke 'em.
Juke 'em Nuke 'em Tops.
Because they said when he runs downfield and jukes you, it's like a nuke hit your legs.
Did you see the video when it was like an old, a Super 8 camera, and it was at his church league? He's a Methodist.
Yes,
or no,
yes.
I'm sorry.
Episcopalian.
Scientologist.
Scientologist.
And he's very involved in his church of Scientology, and he's playing a flag football league with them, and it's all of his little 8-year-old friends, and they're all just trying to stay up. You know, they could barely lose their legs. They're babies.
Yeah.
He's doing backflips over
He's
him
spinning.
into the end
He's
zone.
spinning around everybody.
Billy Tops is a player to watch this game, folks, and I want to see him and Richie Bixson go head-to-head.
Let me ask you this, Maddie. When you look at these two teams and you're sitting there on Sunday night watching the game, who do you got your money on?
I got to be honest with you. The Grape Stompers are a better team. They look like they're in the sights to win. Billy Tops is someone that I think is really going to do well for them. But I would not sleep on Chaz Woolsworth. He's a young guy, but he's got so much heart. He's got so much determination, and he's constantly proving people wrong this season. And the thing is, Devon Lundgren's an animal.
Yeah.
He'll run through a fucking shit house with a brick in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So this is one of those games where it's anyone for the taking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
What would you say, Joe?
If I really had to sit here and say it, I'm going with the Fishcaps. I say bring it home
Really?
to Akron. Yeah, I say bring it home to Akron.
It's funny because we've never had to talk where it's like, wow, this is the game, this is the big game, but we got two underdogs.
And we're both on the same page.
But you're choosing the underdog of the underdogs.
Oh, yeah. Because you know what? I look at a coach like Willie Mamuth, and I say this guy knows how to win. He's done it with 2 other teams, back-to-back years. One team 1 year, another team the next. Why can't he do it a third time? I believe in the rule of 3.
How do you think Willie Mamuth is getting the boys ready for this game? Because he's got unprecedented coaching tactics. This is known.
Well, listen, you know he's a 5-star chef. He's a Michelin star chef. He has that history. He used to cook in Portland, Oregon, where he had the restaurants.
The Foxtrot.
Yeah, the
That was an
Foxtrot.
incredible restaurant. 5 Michelin stars. I've been there.
I imagine Coach Mamuth has the boys at his house, a big long table. He's sitting at the head of it, and he says, boys, drink this, for this is my blood in the everlasting covenant. And he takes the bread, he breaks it in half, and he says, eat this.
Take this all
This
of
is
you.
my body. Eat it in memory of me.
Mm-hmm. And then, and this is all crazy. This is kind of a little exclusive drop because this was caught on drone footage from reporters.
Unreleased.
Then Willie Mamuth takes a glass of wine, and then he says, drink this. This is my blood I give unto thee in memory of me.
Yes.
And the crazy thing that we saw, we didn't get the audio, but we had a lip reader. Randomly throughout that whole ordeal, Richie Bixson stood up and gave him a kiss on the cheek and said, you are no, we couldn't really read the lips, but he said, you are no God, and he left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're
excited to see what's
We're
gonna
eager
happen.
to see what happens there. There's a lot of good chemistry on this team, unprecedented, as we said. Two underdogs going at it in a dogfight.
And what do you think Philly Philistine Carlisle is doing with his boys this week to get them jazzed up?
He's
a real man's man that likes, because he's in his late 80s.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. A man like him, he's in his late 80s. He's a rookie head coach, his first year in the league. I imagine he wants to get good sleep leading up to the big show, right?
But he's very big. I've heard the strength training that team goes through is hitherto unknown.
Talk about unprecedented.
Yeah.
They're moving houses. They're moving mobile homes.
Is that true? Because
Yes.
I've heard that. So
Yeah.
that's what they're doing.
Yeah, the way a man would tie himself to a truck and pull it, they're doing that with mobile homes.
And now, is that individual players or is that team-wide?
Team-wide, but individual players for the O&D line. So
Wow.
the big boys are going to work.
Hey, listen, all power to them. It's unprecedented, as we've said,
Oh, yeah.
but it's real interesting tactics, and I'm excited to see how it plays out for him.
Yeah, and you know what? Listen, you're a former player yourself. You think about your year in the league. It was a short year. It was a quick year.
Maddie
Quickest,
No-Goes Ferrara has, a storied past with the league.
Well, you know what they say. When you were on defense and it's 4th and 1, it's a no-go.
That's what they said. When I was at the Fort Lauderdale Spit Swallows, varsity starting captain, I was doing my thing, and they said, I didn't even come up with the nickname. Coach did. They said, Matty No-Goes. You would hear the other coaches say it. Oh, Matt's on D-line. This is a no-go.
It's a no-go.
They
They'd
would
punt.
actually say, we're going to punt.
Yeah.
First down.
Yeah.
They'd be first down. They said, we're going to punt, actually.
Well, you know what? It's no surprise to me.
Yeah, and then I had that little ordeal when I did end up going to the league to play for the,
Well, you went to school. Well, you started off at DeVry, correct?
I'm sorry, yeah. So I was a football player for DeVry University. That's where I had my college
Varsity
career.
letterman.
Yeah, varsity letterman with DeVry University's football team. And DeVry was great because what an incredible institution. What an incredible school. I studied sociology.
And you study on your time.
I studied on my time, and I played football on my time. That was the best part about it. The football was on my time. Didn't matter who was there, if there was even a game scheduled.
Right.
Matty No-Goes was playing. You
Yeah.
know? It was, some people like to use the word digital,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked it that way. I
Yeah.
like a digital world.
Yeah.
I had a friend in college at DeVry. His name was Chalky. And he would say, I would talk to him through whatever means we had for DeVry. And I said, Chalky, you're living in your own world, aren't you? Chalky's digital world.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chalky was a good lad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's great because you got guys who are in the league. You have guys that were playing at the collegiate level. You're coming here on the biggest stage in
Yep.
football to talk about the biggest game in football.
Yeah.
You're only going to bring the best.
Of course. And then I had, I got drafted to the Fort Lauderdale Spit Swallows 6th round, and I was real proud of that. Mom and Pops were real proud before the train accident.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had that game. I don't like to talk about it. If you want to fill in the guest, you can.
Two people get on a train to an unknown destination.
I was talking about the game.
Yeah. Well, Maddie's debut in the NFL. I remember watching it live. I remember saying, "That's my buddy. I know that guy. Used to play him at DeVry when I was at Passaic County Community." And it happens, folks. You get that debut on the biggest stage in football, and
get
sometimes
excited.
you tear both of your ACLs.
I tore both of my ACLs and meniscuses, folks. First game, first down, home game. And it was rough.
Yeah.
Because I was excited for my career in the league, and I just, to put it simply, folks, I love football. It's a hell of a game. I've given my life to it. And
your knees.
Yeah. And I never played again after that. But being behind the scenes has been so rewarding for me.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife loves me. But let's talk about your past. Joey Punts DeFilippis, the Greek with the meat who's actually Italian. That's what they would call you in the locker room.
Yep.
Joey DeFilippo was your family's original last name.
Yeah.
When they came through Ellis Island, they said, hey, listen, we don't want no dirty wop shit here. They got rid of the L, threw an IS on it.
And now you're Greek, kid.
Yeah.
Go get him. Well, yeah, started off in a small town, small house,
Where are you from?
I'm from Patterson, New Jersey.
Patterson, New Jersey
Yep.
native. I've heard of it. Great place. I'm a
Yep.
friend of mine lives there. Fetty Wap.
Oh, yeah, Frederick Wap.
Frederick Wap. Are you familiar with his work?
Yeah, I'm familiar with his work. Big fan.
Freddie Wap. What a guy.
What a guy. I mean, loves football.
Frederick Wap.
Loves football.
Loves football.
But yeah, I started out in a small town, small house in New Jersey, and, played at Eastside High School, won a few state titles. It was time to move on to the next level, collegiate. Did my year's varsity letterman at Passaic County Community College. And then I was drafted in the 5th round as a kicker for the Newark Nosebreakers. And
were you a kicker when you were at Passaic County?
Yeah, always a kicker.
Always a kicker.
Always had the boot, as they said. Joey Punts.
Was that from high school? Was that from childhood?
Yeah, you know what? I grew up playing soccer.
Was that what it was? You were one of them dirty wops?
Yeah, grew up playing soccer, and, I had the boot, and they said, boy, you ought to get on a football field. And I said, but, sir, I am on a football field. And they're like, no. Football Americano, and I'm
you're
like,
sì, parlato, mi dispiace.
Yeah, mi piace football Americano.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's where it started. I went to Eastside and I was kicking there. I broke the field goal record, 73-yard field goal. It was, and that's the record amongst all leagues, folks. All leagues, even the NFL. No one's hit a kick like that. Moved on, and I got drafted to the Newark Nosebreakers, and I had a very promising career there.
Newark
I'm very
Nosebreakers
blessed.
is an older team at that time.
Yes, they're no longer
in the league.
No longer,
which must be an interesting thing for you.
Well, yeah, now they're the Jackson Jackoffs, and out of Jackson, New Jersey.
Yeah, really, and they what an incredible sponsorship they got with Six Flags Great Adventure.
Yeah. Well, same town,
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Tell me about your time in the league with the Nosebreakers.
I was doing double time for a while, and that's a term we use in the league. Double time. It's when you would a team would go to practice, you would practice twice.
Yeah.
So it was long days, long hours. But I was putting in the work, kicking. Went up against some of the greats, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Eli Manning. We beat all of them.
Frank Renault.
Yeah.
Josh Hamilton.
Alfred Stugutz.
Tommy Spitz.
John Moretti.
Leverett Holder, the madman from the South.
Leverett Holder, the 5th.
Leverett Holder, the 5th.
You're talking the 4th. He was a real nosebreaker.
That was a real nosebreaker.
But his son had an even better career.
Yeah.
And you know how the story goes. You get to that age where you wake up one morning and the back hurts a little more than it usually does. You're a little more dehydrated than you usually are. And you start to realize, hey, man, I'm making a lot of money doing this, but how much longer can I actually do it?
And when you were doing double time practices with the Nosebreakers, you got to give me what that's like. Because, we would talk to the kickers, but, I would treat them, and this was an old time. This is bygone era. But we would treat the kickers like they were, like our laundry guys.
Yeah, and, that's something I dealt with for a long time.
You guys put in a lot of work. Because I heard back then, before they started regulating, you were doing dumbbell kicks. Is that true?
Dumbbell kicks, I was. And you think about...
Tell the folks at home what a dumbbell kick is.
Dumbbell kicks, you tape a 15-pound dumbbell to your leg, and you let it kick. Well,
you're doing at least 50.
Well, they always tell me, 20 pounds less, because you don't want to have the media asking questions.
Yeah.
And, we'll chop that out of this. But do you remember a guy, Alfonzo Spagonzi?
Alfonzo Spagonzi was a player we both came up with in college and in the league of the early days. What an incredible player. What an incredible story.
What a huge dickhead.
A tragic story, if you will.
Yeah. Huge
Alfonzo
dickhead.
Spagonzi, first round draft, I think your season.
Yes. Yeah. Drafted
were
as
you
wide
drafted
receiver.
after me or before me?
Before you. 4 rounds.
So Alfonzo got drafted the year before me first, and Alfonzo Spagonzi was just a player that had it all. First player in the league to be not only a punter, not only a kicker, but also a quarterback, and he also played defense.
Yeah, he was a hell of a player. He was one of a kind, very unique.
All special, lightning in a bottle, starfly catches in, like the lightning bug in the summer evening. You put them in a jar, they're going to die out.
Yeah.
And what happened with Alfonso is he was like the little engine that could until he couldn't. You know what I'm saying? Started doping. Started doing horse tranquilizer, drugs, all types of steroids, D-ball, Anavar, steroids, test boosters, testosterone.
Testosterone A.
What's the other one for females? You know.
Douche, yeah, right, douche?
Nah,
No.
something like that.
Estrogen?
Estrogen. He
yeah.
was taking it all, folks.
Yeah.
And at the age of 28, he was coming out for a game, and his heart exploded in his chest. It was actually quite graphic. And it's sad because what a promising player, but like you said, a little
Couldn't hang on.
A little bit of a dickhead and wasted his own talent. But enough with Alfonzo Spagonzi. Enough about us. Let's make some predictions for this game, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm going to list my statistics I got, and you got to list yours, all right? We'll compare notes.
Hit him.
Okay, so for the Akron Fishcaps, I got Chaz Woolworth throwing 8,000 yards. 8,000.
I could see it.
Mm-hmm. Devon Lundgren, wide receiver. I see him getting 58 touchdowns. This is an unprecedented season. I'm going to give unprecedented statistics.
Yeah, I agree. Unprecedented numbers tonight.
Richie Bixson,
How much he rushing for?
I'm going to say a rush of upwards to 12,000 yards.
He can do it.
And on top of that, I'm going to double down and say that he ends the game with a retirement.
I'm with you on that. I
Okay.
agree.
Good.
I agree.
Let's move over to the Grape Stompers. Ernest Ernie Tanks McQueen. Great player. I think he might choke. I'm going to give him 12 yards he throws. It's just how the cookie crumbles with Ernest.
Yeah,
Ernie
yeah.
Tanks.
You know,
I love the
he's
guy.
on and he's off. He's like a light switch.
The thing with Ernie Tanks is, he doesn't know. He's admitted it that the math of angles and throwing never really made much sense to him.
Now, do you see any of these players? Because you know that you see a guy like, Billy Tops, you see a guy like Rasheed Calvin Sr., they have a history of being very outspoken in the league. Do you see them disavowing the Olympics in China?
Oh, well, I know off the bat because I was talking to Billy Tops a couple weeks ago, and I can quote him. This is actually a quote I have. I will never, ever turn on the Olympics again after what they did to Molly Ringwald. I don't know what that means, but he seems to be out on the Olympics. Molly Ringwald, famously the star of A Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, many other 80s rom-coms.
You know what? When you look at a guy who's such a loving husband and father, it's almost like, can you even question his?
You know what? And he's
ethics.
he's so tied in with his church
Mm-hmm.
and the levels of that church.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for him personally, he travels a lot
Mm-hmm.
to very nondescript places for the church.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he has time to worry about such things.
Yeah.
But I think the general consensus I'm getting is the NFL is a no-go on the Olympics.
No go on Olympics.
But that's just what I'm reading. But let me get back to it. Rasheed Calvin Sr., I'm going to say that he's going to rush about
Receiving yards.
he's going to receive about maybe 60,000
Mm-hmm.
upwards.
Yeah.
That's easy for me.
He's breaking 50K.
Yeah, I think so.
That could be a record for him.
For him.
Not for the league. though.
Not for the league. That would
Yeah.
be Alfonzo Spagonzi.
Yeah.
And for Billy Tops, I'm going to say probably going to rush maybe around 4,000.
4,000.
Yeah.
I thought you meant 4.
No. You can't put Billy Tops in a corner.
Hey, those are good numbers. I like those numbers.
Let's hear what you got because I'm interested to hear. I'll tell you what. I'm interested to hear what you got to say.
I'm coming in hot. I think Chaz Woolsworth, he's a hell of a quarterback.
Hell of a quarterback.
He has his mind and his heart in the right place. I think he's throwing for over 30,000 yards this
Okay.
game.
Listen.
When you got a guy like Devon Lundgren ready to catch the rock.
That's where it is. And that's, you know what? People don't often realize this about football, but it's not just about how far you could throw the ball for a quarterback. It's about can someone catch that ball.
Exactly.
Because they don't count it.
Yep.
People don't realize that. They don't count the yards
Mm-hmm.
unless someone catches it.
Right.
That's the thing about football no one understands.
Right. So I see a big breakout from Woolsworth with that. Next to that, I see Devon Lundgren. He's going to have a breakout game. He's the bad boy. He's scandalous, right? But he's going to show up to, shut the haters up. I think he's going to have something amongst, 30,000 receiving yards.
Yeah.
10 touchdowns, maybe 20.
It sounds right to me.
And then capping it off, Listen, man, Richie Bixson, I, too, agree with you. I think we're going to hear a retirement at the end of this game. With that said, Richie Bixson, he's the type of guy that wants you to read between the lines. I think he's going to be rushing for 66,666 yards to make a statement.
I'll tell you what. I hope so. I sure do. I just don't know if I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Hey, that's the way of the game, especially this one.
This one is unprecedented.
It is the most unprecedented game we'll probably ever see in our lifetime.
We'll probably see in our lifetimes.
But then I'm going to move over to the Grape Stompers.
It's a crazy game.
Listen, Ernie the Tank McQueen. Talk about
Ernest
a quarterback.
Ernie Tanks McQueen.
Talk about a quarterback.
Talk about a quarterback.
I don't think that the secondary and I don't think the backfield is going to be on par with him, and because of that, that's going to leave a lot of room for error. I think Ernie the Tank, I think he's throwing under 8,000 yards. Easy. Under 8,000.
That I could agree with you.
On the other hand, I think Rasheed Calvin Sr., I think he's going to pick up a lot of that load, and I think he's going to look at, 10,000 reception yards. I think he's going to, look at almost double-digit touchdowns. Do I think it's going to be enough to win the game? Absolutely not. But that's neither here nor there. You look at a guy like Billy Tops. Billy Tops, he comes from, where is he? He's up in Portland.
Yeah, he's up in Portland.
Yeah?
He summers there.
ANTIFA University?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, hell of a university.
ANTFIA.
They don't follow the rules. They don't back down to, the man in charge.
Famously started their own university in a not so public piece of land that they took for themselves.
Yes, and because of that, I think that there's something to say. They don't back down to the man. He's not going to back down to a challenge.
Billy Tops doesn't back down to anything.
However, this is the game of football. You can't run the ball if you don't have the offensive line to pick up the slack and create the holes in the crease for you. I think Billy Tops isn't rushing anything more than 300 yards.
I really got to disagree with you, because the thing about Billy Tops, say what you want about him as an athlete, say what you want about him as a potential serial killer. I will say this about Billy Tops as a person.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a hell of a determination behind him. If you know anything about his personal life, he's level 8 Sea Master in the Church of Scientology.
Okay,
He
wow,
hit the top
that's
level.
impressive, yeah.
Oh, he's auditing. He's going to auditing sessions in between every game. He holds on to his chakras. He's released all of the xenons in his soul, as they call it. And I've heard he's like, the guy's in touch with Xenu, if you know anything about Scientology.
Well, in a game where the grace of God means everything, I really hope it goes in their favor. I just don't think that this Sunday is their Sunday.
Really?
I think we're going to see Akron Fishcaps taking back Sunday, if you know what I mean.
And you know what? You're going to be an anomaly.
Yeah.
In the sports circuit.
I'm a contrarian.
You are, because I'll tell you what, I turned on ESPN today. They're all going Grape Stompers.
Oh, of course.
And you know what? I'm excited to watch this game because, they're all going Grape Stompers, folks. But like my ex-wife, it's too close to call. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what it is? It's like women. Even after you're dead they want to rip your heart out.
Organ donor.
Always says that.
Yeah. I'm an organ donor.
Listen, man, they're going to be saying Grape Stompers. When you look into the whole investigation that happened earlier in the season with Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless having ties to the Grape Stompers, funding, child slave camps within the United States territory. That's a big deal.
Thing.
That's a big scandal.
And listen, that
holds weight. That's a lot on the mind during a big game.
The biggest thing about the Grape Stompers is people make the point, they're playing in Napa Valley, and they say because of the altitude, the air levels are different up there.
It's a dry game.
It's a dry game.
It's a dry game.
And think about how many times they get to delay their game due to wildfires.
Well, it's crazy to think
you remember that game where the wildfire came through the field at halftime?
Absolutely.
And they got the win?
Absolutely.
And there's people that say that wasn't a wildfire.
Well, they're going to always say it's not what it is, right?
Well, they said Carlisle set the fire because he saw that his team was up. He said, there's probably something better I could be doing.
And he made that hit single in protest. We Didn't Start the Fire.
We Didn't Start the Fire by Philistine Carlisle is probably the soundtrack to a lot of generations.
But I think it's interesting because you talk about it being a dry game. They're up in Napa Valley. They're at high altitudes.
They're looking at a beautiful sight.
But you're looking at a forecast. You're looking at a forecast that's saying almost 3 feet of snow. Talk about unprecedented.
And listen, talk about love.
What do you talk about when you talk about love?
What do you talk about when you talk about love? It has to go without saying, in the middle of this season, we saw Philistine Carlisle, an 89-year-old man, begin a relationship with
A player.
with a player, a female player, Stephanie Crawford, who plays for the XFL, and she's 28.
Yep.
It's a huge age gap, but you can't help but look at them in the tabloids and not say that's love.
Yeah.
And any person with a brain that's not a smooth brain, a brain with texture, could tell you that the second he started that relationship, the quality of the team went up tenfold.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And there is rumors, I don't want to get into it. I heard Philistine Carlisle is going to propose to Stephanie Crawford right before the game. And with that kind of energy and that kind of excitement, I'm excited to see what the Grape Stompers bring to that game. Like I said, dude, I'm with you. I want the Akron Fishcaps to win. I'm an underdog man. I think Chaz Woolworth is just like, what a good guy. What a good kid, really.
Yeah.
Because that's all he is. He's a kid.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't too long ago that he was, putting on leather jackets with his friends, combing his hair with grease, riding the rails across, Ohio, and, going into burning churches to save youth groups, getting into, fights with socias. But he's come a long way, and I'm excited what he could do. But it goes without saying the Grape Stompers are a great team, and they're going to bring it as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And listen, on that note, folks, we're going to be taking a call here. It's going to be coming in from Al Swanson, the commissioner of the league. We told him he wanted to call in for about a minute, talk about the big game.
The big commish.
We're going to be letting that on. Al,
How are you?
You're on air.
It's been a crazy year. Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, folks, Al Swanson, commissioner of the league, interesting to hear his perspective on, the outcome of this football game.
Obviously he's so intimately entwined with that, also intimately entwined with some other allegations that we don't want to dive into, but Al Swanson, folks.
Yeah, Al Swanson. Wow, and we're coming up to the end of our show here. We're gonna look at it like this. We're leaving the show. What we got fish caps across the board.
Listen, I'll ride fish caps with you, but I'm not going all in. I will put it that. I'm gonna be a neutral pundit.
Oh, you're pulling back.
I'm not pulling back. I want the fish caps to win.
Mm-hmm.
Do I know they're gonna win? I don't know. I think it's any team's game.
Any team's game. Well, folks, we appreciate you coming to Crack on the Field.
Guys, Crack on the Field. We're going to be, narrating the game and whatnot. Listen to it on Audible. Watch it on the television, wherever you can. We're going to be doing the live cast of the game. We're excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Unprecedented.
Can we just say that this is unprecedented? And I think one thing that me and you don't talk about enough, we love football, folks.
I love football.
Me and Joey.
I haven't missed a game.
Ever.
Since like we said last week, since we were born.
I'll tell you what, football has been such a meaningful part of my life. I don't know if you remember, but I had this bunny rabbit called Potato when I was a child.
I remember Potato.
And he didn't have any arms or legs. He was deformed. He was a deformed bunny.
We used to call him a little nugget.
Yep. Looked like a potato, little guy. And the thing about Potato, he didn't have any arms or legs. He couldn't really move, but it was it kind of looked like a football.
Yeah.
And I never owned a football. My family didn't have much money. I didn't have enough to own a real football. And so when I started watching the games and I wanted to start playing football and practice, and all I had at my disposal was potato. And I threw that little fucker around for years.
Yeah.
And he eventually died when you came over as a child and you decided that you were going to get into kicking, and I never held that against you. And you know that we've talked that over. But football's got a real important part of our lives, folks, and we're just glad that you're here to listen to us talk about this beautiful game, America's game.
Yeah, and you think about the things that you hold dearest to yourself, you know, friends, family, career, God. But football trumps all those things.
Football trumps all those things.
It does. It really does. And
it's God's game.
I can tell you this much. If I were to die on the couch this Sunday watching such an unprecedented game, I wouldn't be all that mad.
Amen, brother.
Amen.
And in that, it would be unprecedented.
Yeah.
And remember, it's only temporary.
It's only temporary. Folks, thanks for tuning in.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em, folks.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
The good the field.
The Crack on the Field
Crack on the field.
sports show. We'll see you next week.